Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. To see this, you would think that every word that came out of my mouth since I started blogging was recorded. They took notice of me, okay? They took notice of my message because I talked about all of this before it was even popular in Barbados. In fact, the word RAPE was hardly ever used in Barbados. No one talked about the R word, the violation type of stuff that happens against women, misogyny. I started talking about the fact that I don't even think the males there in Barbados actually like women. They prefer each other. I started talking about the predatory nature of stuff that happens in Barbados that goes unabated, the parasitic minds that develop from being predated upon. I talked about all of that. Bradshaw is now urging parents, the parents are at fault. The parents are the main people you have to look at. Here it is that Tony Moore is talking about the age of maturity moving up to 18. I'm not saying that other people didn't talk about it. I've never heard anyone speaking about it as much as I did. Okay, I spoke of the age of maturity in Barbados moving up from 16 to 18. 16 years old is a child. A 16-year-old is a child. And if you talk about science and you talk about respecting education or whatever, your scientists are telling you now that the mind is not really developed to the point of making serious decisions until it's about 35 years old. 33, 35, even sometimes 40 years old. That's when the mind is developed enough to make serious decisions. And a serious decision is getting married or engaging in unholy acts. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but here she is talking about the age of consent. So when I talked about it, she nodded. Here she is talking, well, here he is talking about the crackdown, yeah, predators. Here they are talking about the offenders registry. Someone nodded when they heard me spoke of when are you going to do it? It's high time you have a registry for people who have been found guilty of such violations. When are you going to have a registry? And here they are talking about an offenders registry. It is almost as though they were listening to me. And like I would say, I may not be the only one, but before I started talking about it, I never saw it in your news. I never saw it being pushed the way I pushed it, especially the age of consent, the registry for the offenders. I pushed that, and teachers and parents being watched carefully. Teachers and parents being watched carefully where young children are concerned. Okay, so yeah, these are things that I talked about all the time. Okay, the whole of Barbados is made up of predators. Okay, they're all predators. Young girls and young boys are not safe in Barbados. When you have a child in Barbados, you have actually birthed your child into like a lower dimension, a ghostly type dimension, a dimension that care not about children. You do not care about children. And if you did care about children, half the children born there will not be born if you really cared, because you will know what happened to you. You will know what happened to maybe the neighbor's child, someone that you went to school with. You will know what is happening. It's 0 degrees of separation in Barbados. I've said that before. 0 degrees of separation. Usually they say like 16 or what. Nah, you all know of something happening to someone. You all know of it. All of you know of it. All of you are hiding. All of you are secretive. All of you are trying to pretend that it's not happening. We know it's happening. We know it's happening. We know that most of your court cases involve violations. We know that. And even if they didn't admit it, it's still known. Still known. We know what happens after crop over, after the slave parade. We know what happens. We all know what happens after crop over with all the doctor visits and everything. We know. We know. Whether you want to write about it, talk about it, whisper about it, it's known. These things are known, okay? There's no hiding. There's no more hiding. Expert, preparing, expert, no S, preparing report on offenders registry. This may not fly in Barbados. This may not fly in Barbados, because if there is such a registry and they start getting serious about these matters, police, your whoever's in government, your politicians, the teachers, for almost all the teachers will be going to prison, and their names will be on the list. Almost every father and the block boy. I mean, this is not going to fly. Okay, I've talked about it, but this is not going to work in Barbados, because you will lose all hope that Barbados is a place like a paradise. It would be a paradise for Luciferian kind of energy. When they say paradise, they're not talking about godly, and they're not talking about high spiritual and morally upright kind of ways. That when they say that God is a Bajan, they're talking about the Luciferian God. And when they talk about Barbados being a paradise, they're talking about a Luciferian spirit. It's Luciferian. So you have to understand who they're calling upon when they go to church, and when they talk. You have to understand the God that they are worshiping. Okay, it's Luciferian. Okay, so yeah, this is not going to fly in Barbados. The registry, not going to fly. We still will talk about it. Still need to talk about it, but it's not going to fly in Barbados. Okay, and the parents are the main. The parents, when they talk about reporting on these matters, the parents are the main culprits. The parents are the main culprits. Okay, I don't even know how you can trust them with a baby. It's just something that is, you grit your teeth. It's like, oh my God. And then she's talking about the age debate. 16 is a child. At 16 years old, you are a child. Your body is not even you are a child. Okay, so this forced ripeness, I've talked about that before. The forced ripeness that goes on there. You see what's happening, right? You see how everything is being reflected in your society right now. Okay, and because boys have more anger issues, and they're stronger and they grow bigger, that it's being represented through the male people there, the black males. You're seeing the anger, and you're seeing the fight. You're seeing the fight, and it's coming through the males. But the females have it too. It may be showing up in a different way, but they have it too. It's just that the males, because they're stronger, you're seeing them populating the hotel there in St. Philip. That's what you're seeing. But it's happening on both. It's happening on both ends of the coin. Okay, it's happening all over there. It's a reflection of what you're doing, birthing into poverty, birthing into a Luciferian type energy, birthing into fraudsters, liars, cheaters, beaters. You violate. You're birthing children in a soup that is in a small pot. It gets really hot, and it boils, and the cup runneth over, but not in goodness. Okay, you are birthing in a place that is not equipped. It does not have the capacity to support the amount of children being born there, because they're being born in poverty. That's the first slap in the face of that child, the poverty level. Okay, you are birthing your children into a sort of hell that is not, it's not conducive for society at large. Not for society at large. And if they were to get out early and come up to a big country, depending on their mindset and, you know, how, if you fed them well when they were in vitro, when they were in your tummy. That's the first environment. And if you fed them well, and, you know, you probably listen to not the music that's made for animals. There's music that's made for animals. When you hear it, the first thing you do is you put your hands on the ground, you start to shake your ass. You know that's music that's made for animals, or your legs is lifted, or something's going wrong with you, and you know, okay, I'm acting like I just climbed down out of a tree. You know, it's made for animals. So if you were to introduce nice, gentle music to your children, and good food and pleasantries, you know, good morning, good evening, not calling them an idiot and not telling them they're acting like an our age or whatever. You just treat them nice, and then at an early age you can get them off the island. Maybe there's hope. Maybe there could be some hope. But with things as they are now, you just don't know what to say. It's a parasitic mind. You're homogenous, and it's parasitic. What's going on there is spreading. It's spreading from one child to the next. It's just something that's happening. And any guy, any male that can do something like this, something like what they're talking about here, you know, it only shows that the mind is gone. The head is gone. It's done. So for them to take so long, this is a long time coming. This is a long time coming. And for them, especially with all the women, I've spoken about this before, all the women in the cabinet, Mia Mottley and Sandra Mason, they're the two top dogs in Barbados. And for them being in the position, and then the Deputy Prime Minister, Santia Bradshaw, with these women in position, and they have not raised the age of consent. At the least, do that. It's a black eye. It shows that they don't care. Mia Mottley does not care. Santia Bradshaw does not care. And Sandra Mason for sure. She don't give a fuck. She don't care. She doesn't care. Okay? Because if they cared, these things would be second nature in your thinking, in your laws, in your bylaws, and everything. It would have been there that guys would know, well, okay, she's not 18 years of age yet. And when they get 18, the ones that are 60, that when they were married and having kids with a wife, that child probably wasn't even born, or they were in primary school. When that child reached 18, that man's gonna leave his wife and pick up your daughter. So that's what you're birthing your children for. Those are the things you have to think about when you're birthing your children. You're birthing your children that when you are in a marriage and having kids from a man, by the time your child grows up and becomes an adult, the man that you're married to can marry that child that has reached adulthood. They don't want you no more. You are the same age as they are. They want the children that were in kindergarten, that were in the crib, that were in the belly when they were having their children, when they were in their 20s and having their children. Once that child grows up, they get rid of you and they go to take that child for their wife or whatever. That's what's happening. And if you are not conscious of these things happening, it's going to continue to happen. You don't like history. You just don't like. I'm not talking about history, antiquity. I'm not talking about history like 4 or 5. I mean the history that's happening right now in front of your face. Right now in front of your faces, you're seeing that old men picking up young girls, and the old men picking up the young girls. Those girls were not even born when those men were married and having their children. They weren't even born. And so you see the pattern. And you're still going to have children. So you're having children to supply those men with young girls. You're having children to supply old men with young girls. And you don't see that that's a problem. You don't see a problem in that. Okay. Well, this is what's happening now in Parliament in Barbados. I really do not see this happening, but it would be I would be so delighted if it did happen. If you have an offenders registry, that would be really, really good. But it's not going to happen because, everybody All of them, all of them, they could end up on there. They could end up on there. All males could end up on there. Okay. So that's it for this. This may happen. This should happen. Well, this should happen. Age of consent going up should happen. This is Sherry Veronica.